So the next topic I want to talk about is annualizing returns. So in the examples we've been doing so far, we've been computing rates of return over a month or over 2 months and so on. Usually, when you read the financial press and things like that, rates of return on different investments are often expressed as an annual rate of return, right? So what is the annual interest rate on investing in a government T-bill? What is the annual rate of return on the S&P 500 and so on and so forth? And where do these annual return numbers come from? And this is a bit of a tricky issue because if you actually have a holding period that's 1 year, then the percentage change in price over that 1 year is an annual rate of return, right? But if you have an investment only for 1 month, you have a monthly rate of return. How do you convert that monthly rate of return into an annual rate of return? Well, you have to make some assumptions in order to annualize the monthly investment. So for example, let's say we have, let R sub m as the monthly rate of return. Okay, say it's 1%. You can make the assumption that you get the same monthly return every month for a year, right? Then I can compute my annual rate of return by, the usual future value formula. So I just take my investment and, it grows by the same RM every month for a year. So my 1 plus the annual rate of return is 1 plus the monthly rate of return raised to the power 12. So I would define my compound annual rate of return to be 1 plus the monthly rate of return raised to the power 12 minus 1. Now this annualization is based, again, on an assumption that you get the same return every month for a year. Now, that's just an assumption. It may not be true. Now, when you see, annualized rates, sometimes these types of assumptions are done in the computation, so you need to be aware of, what whoever's publishing the information is doing. So if we did our Microsoft example, so in our example, the rate of return on Microsoft between over 1 month was 5.88%, right? Let's make the assumption that we get the same 5.88% return every month for a year. What's our annual return on the investment? Well, it's 1 plus the monthly rate raised to the power 12 minus 1. That gives us an annual rate of return of 98%, right? That's pretty incredible, right? So you're essentially doubling your money in a year if Microsoft stock is 5.8% every month. So that would be pretty good if it were true. Now, the rate of return on Microsoft stock is not guaranteed to be 5.8% every month. And so this is probably not a very good way to think about what the annual return on Microsoft is. Now, we can also do this in example. Suppose we have a 2-year return. Suppose we have a 2-year time horizon. So we can think of it this way. So this is t minus 24. And this is t. And so we have, this is 50. And this is 90. And so we have a 2-year period. And the percentage change in price over 2 years in this example is 80%. So 1 plus the 2-year rate of return is 1.8. And then our 24-month rate of return is 80%. Now that's a return over a 2-year period. What is the annual rate of return in this example? Well, essentially, it's like defining an effective annual rate. We want to know what is the annual rate of return with compounding once per year that gives us the same rate of return that we got by this 2-year investment. So we would solve 1 plus RA squared is equal to 1.8. And so our annualized rate of return would be 1.8 to the power 1/2 minus 1. And so this gives us a 34.16. So this would be this investment, which gave us a 2-year rate of return of 80%, has an annualized compound rate of return of 34.16%. So if we had an investment such that we got 34.16% every year for 2 years, it would give us the same future value as our investment in Microsoft. So that would be my annual rate of return I get for this year and the annual rate of return I get for that year. That would be the same. Okay, so that's the annualization process in this case.